Welcome to the Cup of Nurses podcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Cup of Nurses podcast. We are your hosts, Matt Rodrick, and myself, Peter Findera. Cup of Nurses podcast is a podcast where we talk about current health news and trending nursing topics, one conversation at a time.
One conversation at a time and many conversations. Anyway, today's podcast, we're going to talk about how emotions affect your health at the behavior level, the physiological level, 4 tips on how to help manage your emotions. And then we're going to dive into the current health news, which talks about e-cigarettes and how they might be damaging your cardiovascular cells, guys. So is it a better alternative for cigarettes? We don't think so.
No, I don't think so, but it is something new. I think e-cigarettes came out probably within the last 10 years, I'd say. So a lot of times when these things get approved by the FDA or whoever approves them, they go through testing. But when they do get approved, you got to think about it. They go through a large-scale test on society. So obviously more people smoke e-cigarettes currently than they did back when they did research.
Have you ever smoked the e-cigarette before?
I have.
Made me cough personally.
I don't know. It's just a different way of, I guess, smoking. There's also the vapes. I don't know if it's considered e-cigarettes. I think so, right?
It's any kind of vaporizer.
Yeah, but just like with everything, everything new that trends gets released to the public, a lot of times we realize over time that these things probably aren't as healthy as we initially thought they were. Same with cigarettes. Initially, people thought cigarettes were a good thing. You know, Coke used to put cocaine in their Coke products. That was thought to be a good thing. You know, people prescribe cocaine as like for medicinal purposes.
As a medicine.
Yeah, so the more you experience this, the more times people use it, you kind of gain more research, more knowledge about it, and then it kind of proves that it probably isn't as good as you thought it was. But then it's already too engraved in society, so it's a lot harder to change from it.
And that's the problem, because whatever the news is, that's the way public receives information. So there's this giant push for information that was saying that e-cigarettes are safe. So now the perception for kids is e-cigarettes are a better habit than smoking. And you're seeing so many people doing this, but we're not realizing that, hey, it's actually kind of causing issues. So May 27th, the Journal of American College of Cardiology, they released a study that shows how having these e-cigarette juices, this flavor that people are inhaling and ingesting, it's actually causing damage to the blood vessels. It's hindering the human, the cardiovascular cell, and it's losing its ability to function and to survive, which is a huge issue because we know that cardiac cells, once you have them, you lose them. So
yeah, a lot of these additives are tested for digestion, and they are proven safe for digestion, but they haven't really been tested on like absorbing it through your lungs, like breathing it in, inhaling them. One of the ones that we found out some information about is the diacetyl. That's how you say it, diacetyl. I think it's diacetyl.
It's an additive that was used in popcorn, which made it kind of, that was that smell. When you open up the popcorn bag, that's that nice, aside from butter, it's a diacetyl smell. It was used in popcorn for a long period of time. Now we're realizing that it's causing something called the popcorn lung, which is called bronchiolitis, which is in a way, it's kind of inflaming your lungs. It's kind of making you get really short of breath really quick. And it was an artificial flavor that was used in popcorn. It's still used in baked goods and candies. And what do you know? 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, we're realizing that it's bad for you.
Yeah, like it's okay for you to digest it, but once you breathe it in, it's a whole different thing. Like, asbestos back in the wall, people thought it was no big deal, but once you breathe it in, it caused epithelial cell damage as well.
Now you have to be certified in order to even take that asbestos, right? The tile downs?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A lot of old homes have that.
Yeah, I know my old friend used to do flooring, and he said that sometimes they went out for a contract to take down or to put in hardwood flooring, and they would cancel the whole job because they had those kind of tiles. That's how hazardous.
Yeah, you see a lot of billboards like, "Hey, do you suffer from mesothelioma?" I'm sure you've seen them. They're all around, but that kind of diverts back to what we're talking about. Like something we thought was safe before is not safe anymore.
Yeah. So this whole study, what it summarized is what happens to those cardiovascular cells. It loses the cell vitality. It increases reactive oxygen species levels, which I was a little bit baffled by trying to understand that. It increased inflammation. As we know, inflammation is bad for the body. It's good for a short period of time. Long periods of stress actually makes the body have like a chain reaction of bad hormone reactions, so that's bad. And it confirms endothelial dysfunction. So we know that we have high blood pressure, our cells like to kind of expand to lower it and, squeeze when it has to go up. And it's losing that basic function, which is really important because our heart is constantly beating the pump and the pump and
The vessels.
blanking out the vessels. We call it like a plumbing system. So we should probably not do e-cigarettes.
No, I don't recommend them. Any kind of smoking you shouldn't do. That's kind of gonna
Any kind of smoking, huh?
Well, I
I'm
was
joking.
gonna bring up that it's gonna kind of see how marijuana affects society too. Like, is it gonna be damaging to your lungs? Because you smoke marijuana. I mean, we'll find out a couple years down the line.
Yeah, it's still not federally acceptable, but per state, it's interesting to study a state level society to see how it's being changed by marijuana.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how government works. Like, we have federal laws and state laws. It's pretty cool.
But I think that
But off topic.
Yeah, off topic, but definitely marijuana smoke. When it comes to the lungs, it's probably bad because you're inhaling that thing and you're trying to hold it in as long as possible to get high and cough it out. You're coughing your lung out. I don't think it has any positive.
It's pretty descriptive.
effects. Uh-huh.
It almost seems like you've done it before.
I mean,
So good.
public record here, huh?
Yeah.
So, anyways, what's today's topic?
Emotions. So we wanted to talk about some emotions, how they affect you, how you perceive them. Emotions, first of all, they have a subjective aspect to them. So somebody, makes you angry and you feel angry, somebody's chewing their gum real loud and you can't stand them chewing the gum, but you hold it in. And that's kind of a subjective approach. They're not doing it on purpose, or they could be doing it on purpose, but you're the one that's actually experiencing an emotion.
Yeah. So the outside world has that stimulus, right? So
Yeah.
the stimulus could be anything from, you said, chewing gum to somebody freaking screaming out loud, "Shut the up."
Yeah,
And-
somebody trying to find their dog, and any kind of, like, I mean, hopefully it doesn't make you mad, but,
It's kind of, we could talk about it, right? It's kind of funny. So, side note, we're recording in Oakland and our downstairs neighbors lost their dog, Calvin. Nothing funny about that. But 2 minutes before we were recording, everybody's screaming out Calvin outside. We're just like, dang, there's going to be an interesting podcast. People are going to be just hearing this dog's name.
yeah, and I think we gave away some bad juju because the dog's kind of loud, which, I mean, it's okay, dogs are loud or whatever.
It woke me up. I work nights. It
Yeah.
sucked.
So it's kind of loud downstairs, and we're just like, it's kind of like the dog. Like, usually you hear the dog roaming around downstairs, like jumping on stuff and doing his thing, and it was like quiet, and then we just hear them trying to find a dog. We're like, oh damn, they lost their dog.
I called the blind dog because it always sounds like it's freaking hitting walls downstairs. It's always hitting something. It's like, damn, man. Especially when, the neighbors leave to work. We work the opposite shifts and, we sleep from 8 a.m. till 3 p.m., let's just say. And that mother is just roaming around.
Yeah, he's one active dog, man.
So
it's just funny. Yeah.
we'll let you guys know what happens to Calvin next week, but hopefully they find him.
Yeah, but we ain't talking shit. I'm completely fine with the dog. It's a big, scary dog.
It's a German Shepherd.
Yeah, it's all black with white eyes, pierce your soul. But yeah, and that dog, it makes me feel emotionally a little frightened. It's a subjective feeling, No, the dog's cool, though. I have no problem with the dog. He's a nice dog. I'm sure he's a great dog. I'm sure they feed him well. That's all
It is
I'm saying.
interesting. So we talk about emotions. That dog, for a dog lover, could have a positive emotion, and the stimulus is rewarding. It's good. Oh, what a beautiful, dog. For us, somebody that's like, let's just say, doesn't like dogs, that's a negative emotion. They're associating that stimulus, which is the dog, to something negative, and it's creating an emotion.
Yeah, and the emotion that they take in is subjective. Like Matt said, somebody could make you angry, and your subjective feeling is anger. Someone could tell a joke. Your subjective feeling is happiness.
Yeah.
But that's just one aspect. Another aspect is like the physiological approach, or not the physical approach, the physiological effect. So but the way we feel a lot of times affects how our body works.
Our actual human body, ourselves.
So when you get angry, your heart rate tends to shoot up. Just imagine yourself in a bar. Someone knocks over your drink for a third time. You start to get real angry. Your heart rate starts to go up. You start sweating. Your pressure goes up. You get that sympathetic nervous system response where your vessels constrict and you get blood pumping to all your, powerful organs, your liver, your kidneys, your brain, because you're gonna either fight or flight. So you're either gonna leave angrily, fight somebody, take a punch, or deliver the punch. And that's basically your SNS response.
Kill or be killed. So I might deliver the punch.
Yeah, deliver a punch.
But it's kind of funny when we talk about the effects. And let's just say in church, I was always like nervous about, when you like have to shake somebody's hand. So before this,
You got some sins you want to talk about here?
yeah, the sins.
No one's going to prison today. We'll pass on that for next episode.
I think there's so many people listening to me confessing here.
Yeah, episode 13 is going to be in a prison cell. Behind bars.
And Alcatraz in San Fran.
Eating some ramen.
Yeah, you lost my train of thought here. So let's just say, I'm in church. So the stimulus is when everybody says, grace, give yourself, a hand. And I used to always be nervous because my palms used to get sweaty. So before that event happened, my palms used to sweat. And I used to never be able to control it. And it was weird till I became very self-aware, took myself out of the stimulus and be like, Matt, it's okay, breathe. Nothing's going on. And once I learned how to tame my emotions to that stimulus, I could shake your hand normally now and I'm not sweating.
You sure?
Yeah.
It's getting kind of warm in here. Not gonna lie.
So, yeah. But it's crazy how emotions give us that, butterfly feeling. Let's just say we're going on a first date or something. And it's interesting how we're connected. There's this mind-body connection that's affecting us.
Yeah. So like we said, stress and fear and anger, they tend to cause the sympathetic nervous system response. What that response also does is slows down your digestion. So your body doesn't focus so much on creating digestive enzymes, digesting your food. Peristalsis slows down. And that happens a lot of times with stress or with anger. So if you're angry a lot of times, or little things stress you out, maybe you just don't want to be talked to, and somebody decides to say hi, and you're just like, don't talk to me, and you're stressed out for really no reason. You're bringing baggage home with you from work, and you're always stressed, you're always angry, you're always upset. Someone's always not going the right way. A lot of times that could cause IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and digestive issues because you're putting all that blood, all that your body's focus on your heart or your brain instead of pushing that blood to your...
They might have found Calvin, guys.
Yeah, I think Calvin got found.
It's kind of funny.
So
we want you guys.
So a lot of time with the stress and with feeling upset, anger, people have digestive issues, It's not really a good way. It's not really a good thing for longevity.
Yeah, and that's the problem with high stress, high cortisol, right? And IBS, it's interesting how a lot of people think it's a disease, and now we're finding studies. There is one I could find and post. It's saying that the mind-gut connection is directly linked to irritable bowel syndrome because the way you feel is sending, nerve impulses down to your gut, and the gut bacteria is actually taking that in, and the gut bacteria is being affected. So if you're bloated, if you're, passing a lot of gas, having smelly bowel, or something's going on in your bowel, you might be you might be having some, weeks and days of high stress, high anxiety, which might be leading to this. So
yeah, and imagine you associating change or trying new things with a high amount of stress and anxiety and frustration because you're trying something new and it just doesn't go your way. If you're trying out something new for the first time, it's never going to go your way. So don't have a fear of doing something new because then that's going to generate the same response over and over again. If you're anxious and always, upset with doing something new, it's going to slow down your digestion, it's going to ramp up your heart rate, and you're never going to be comfortable doing new things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of boring life.
It is.
And you can't poop.
And you can't poop. I actually thought about something right now, live. So in the hospital, for all the nurses, we always have something called prophylaxis, right? We have DVT prophylaxis, which we put SCDs on. We give heparin or Lovenox to prevent blood clots. We also have prophylaxis for the stress ulcers in the stomach. We give them Protonics. Why are we prone to getting stress ulcers in the stomach? Because high levels of stress in the mind.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how we're giving medicine to stop stress ulcers, but the real prevention of it is up here to cope with the hospital properly. So we're giving medicine as a secondary way, not as a primary way to prevent stress ulcers.
It's very true. I haven't really thought about that until now. Look at you.
So you think you're going to give your patient a Protonics this morning, or are you going to tell him to
double dose?
Breathe and meditate?
I'm going to give him a double dose Protonics. I'm going to relax, man. Never mind, I'm not going to say it.
Mr. Williams, I think you're having a bad day today. I think you should meditate.
I think I should put this pillow over your head right now.
That's a little crazy, man.
Nah, it's horrible. No, somebody just want to, people just stress you out sometimes, but I never did that. Never did that in my life. I don't plan on doing it either.
So you got the laughies in the podcast, huh?
Maybe you're going to go to jail, goddamn.
Isn't that crazy? Joe's that nurse that went to jail in Germany for murdering 25 people.
Damn.
With medicine?
Or was it one of those murders where how some people want to die and there's no really legal way of killing them?
I don't think so. I think this is actually linked to like medicine and things like that, like negligence of care.
Interesting.
Hopefully, it wasn't pushing heavy potassium.
Damn, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's. Well, fuck 'em, I guess. Damn.
You swear. Anyway, so let's talk about behavior here. So, emotions are feelings that you feel from a stimulus, and eventually, long-term periods of emotion could lead to a behavior. So, if work is, making you every single day, you're eventually going to develop a behavior, which is frustration, anger. That anger is going to carry over, which is a behavior. A long period of time, a behavior could turn into like a personality, which is anger management, or he has a short temper. And it's crazy how we're creating these links in our mind and our brain that are connecting all these things. And it's making you easier to get angry now. Now you're having, just like, like drugs, you're addicted to drugs because you're like wired. Well, let's just say there's a stimulus that's creating anger. You're gonna have anger management because your brain is already hardwired. It's easier to have that stimulus than something else.
Yeah. It's a lot easier for you to repeat the whole process day in and day out. So, hey, you come home from work, you're angry, you do some heroin. It's a lot hard. It's pretty extensive,
Yeah, it is.
But, I'm giving you an example here. So, you come home, you're angry at work made you mad, you shoot up some heroin, you go to sleep, you pass out, you wake up the next day, bang. Another bad day, go back home, shoot up again. And this repeats over and over again. I'm not laughing because I think this is funny, but people get into these habits, and they're very unhealthy behavioral habits that they use to cope with their emotions, that it just becomes so engraved and so much easier for them to just keep doing what they've been doing to change. And that goes back to how the physiological response and your subjective approach to your emotions. Like we said before, if you associate change with an increase of heart rate, slowing down of digestion, negative thoughts, anxiety, stress, then obviously it's gonna be a lot harder for you to do something different than what you've been doing.
It's just like self-discipline. It's like if you don't want to get up to the gym, you're always taking the easy way around and, watching a motivational video, then going back to your old habit, or I'm going to have this one snack that's in the fridge, that's this ice cream sandwich because it's just not my day today. I got angry. So you're always finding things to go back to that old self. You don't want to change because the human body loves comfort, loves stability. There's a reason why it's homeostasis. Back in the hunter-gatherer's age, we always try to find some kind of equilibrium in order to survive. Now that mechanism is kind of like, it's a dead mechanism because we already have, a house, we have food and water for the most part of the world, right? Other than the unfortunate parts. So because we have this, our old system of finding homeostasis is kind of like, it's irrelevant. But now it's creating lazy people because we like comfort so much. We don't like to change. We don't like pushing ourselves because we love homeostasis.
Yep. Like you were saying back in the hunter-gatherer days, their way of disrupting homeostasis is, running away from predators, hunting for their food, not knowing exactly where they're going to sleep. Is someone going to attack them at night? Is an animal going to come get them? Now we have that safety net of, we're obviously not going to get chased down by a bear or by some kind of a dinosaur or a predator. We're not really hunting for food. So that stress is gone. So now a lot of our stress is more in our heads. It's more mental. You're always overthinking things. Back in the day, I'm sure if somebody was presented a threat, like a bear running at you, they would react a lot quicker than we. They'd probably throw the spear, and we'd probably think about it. Hey, how should I throw the spear? Which angle should I throw the spear? We have a lot more. We think a lot more now.
Society.
Yeah, we think a lot more now than we thought before. Before was more quick thoughts and actions. Nothing really too complex. Once you dive deep in your mind, especially with like meditation, you start to ask yourself these questions. Hey, why does the apple fall from the tree? All that kind of things. And now your stressors are more internal. And instead of like these outside predators or stressors causing us physiological changes, we could actually do that with our minds.
Yeah, and that makes sense why people have made, let's just say, like social anxiety disorder. They're so wrapped up in their head that they go somewhere with a little bit of stimulus and their head is just running with thoughts. And they're like, I have to get out of here. I have to leave because I can't handle this. And it's all in here. It's all in here. And it's interesting how some people say, you want to learn discipline, you want to do that? Why don't you go learn a freaking combat sport? Why don't you get punched in the face twice? And then you learn to freaking make quicker decisions and react and to stop thinking.
Yeah, or just sit down.
Yeah.
Shut up, because getting punched in the face hurts.
Yeah. Or that. Silence. So we wrapped it up with emotions, behavior, how this happens. But the question is now, how do you cope with things? How do you realize, things? Because no one just has like this self-awareness switch. So we'll provide you a little bit of, a few tips how to realize these things. So one of them is called hit the rewind. So let's just say you come home, you had a stressful day. You come home to get dinner. Your wife didn't make dinner, and you just lash out at her.
It's not fair.
That's not fair. And she takes the stress, and you have to. And then, point there is you have to ask yourself, how did I get here? How did I get here where my emotions kind of took hold of me and I lashed out angrily? Because you're reacting to your emotions. You're not in control. Your emotions are in control. How do you control yourself? Remove yourself from the stimulus and ask yourself, how did I get there? Am I upset because my wife didn't make dinner, or am I upset because I had a long day at work? And if you had a long day at work, you have to realize you don't take that baggage home, because your family and your relationship will suffer. So leave that shit out on the door.
It's hard.
It's hard, and I get it. Nobody's perfect. I have my days as well. You do too. Mm-hmm. But just learn to understand where that frustration came from. Make peace with it and just leave it behind. Yeah. Hit the rewind. You know what I mean? And ask yourself, where did I get this emotion? Cope with it. Hey, sweetie, I'm sorry. I had a bad day. We'll go grab dinner. I'll make dinner. Give her a little kiss on the cheek and it'll work.
Yeah, and especially if this is happening like a lot of times in a row, probably reflect or hit the rewind and reflect how you approached the situation last time, or how have you been approaching the situation before. Because obviously if you do the same thing that you did before, you're going to cause the same slew of problems that you caused initially. So maybe you just got to react differently. Don't come in with anger. Come in like Matt said, hey, I've had a stressful day. I see you done a lot. Dinner's not made. Maybe we could just eat out, or we can make dinner together. You'll make it quicker, make something easy, or just eat out. It's not a big deal to spend. I'd rather spend $20 on dinner than have an argument with somebody. When Matt's upset, I just feed him. Feels better.
And I stop talking, huh? Anyways, the next tip is hit the forward button. So let's just say you're in this state where you're upset. It could be anything else. Let's just say you have to make a quick decision, which could have some consequences. So take yourself out. Give yourself a third-person perspective view. Remove all that emotional stimuli that's making you react, making you feel, you're making your decision based on an emotion. Take yourself out, make a rational decision. Think about, if I do this, what's going to happen? Or you have to ask yourself, how does this emotion affect others? Are the other people feeling the same way because of the way I'm reacting? Because you don't want to hurt somebody based on how you feel. So hit the forward, give yourself this perspective, and think about what you're going to do. Because if you take yourself out of the stimulus, you're going to be more rational, and you're going to make a decision based on your values.
Yeah,
hopefully you have good values.
Yeah, like say you want to look into the past to kind of guide how you're going to react. You also want to see what these actions are going to do. Like, hey, if you do this, it's going to cause A, B, C, and D. And then those are choices. Do you want to cause A, B, C, and D, or do you want to just cause A? So you kind of got to reroute your path.
Yeah, and then you'll gain perspective to the way you're feeling there when you took yourself out, and you're going to be more attuned to your thoughts and your emotions, and you'll make a better decision. And I mean, it's kind of easy to say now, but the key is self-awareness, and start realizing where your emotions are hijacking your actual, your present moment, and making you react, making you think differently. Because a lot of people don't know that, and they continue that behavior, and some people aren't aware, and the other person, instead of being, understanding, will just attack them too, because they feel like they're being attacked. Mm-hmm. And it creates so much conflict, and sometimes you need that person that's a rock that could ground you and let you know, like, hey, babe, I think you're, lashing out a little bit. How about you call me in 5?
Yeah, relax.
Relax a little bit, Peter's favorite word. The other one is to dive in. So let's see here. You have to ask yourself, how are you feeling? And are you believing this feeling? So dive into your emotions. Let's just say you're going on this first day, you're feeling butterflies. And you're very, very nervous. You're just, reacting. Just things are very, very subjective. How do you relax a little bit? You have to dive into the way you're feeling. You have to really ask yourself, am I is everything really okay? Or like someone gave me a piece of advice is, let's just say I'm nervous before going into my first day at work. Well, think mentally what's going to happen when you get out of the first day. You're going to be happy because you just conquered your first day. You're going to feel like, you're on top of the world. It was a good day. You're going to get some sleep. So always think about what's going to happen the next hour, like the forward. And it's going to help you kind of emotionally cope a little bit better, whatever you're trying to expect or anticipate.
Yeah. So you know what happened, or you know what you did last time, and you know you don't want to do that, or you do want to do the same thing. And you kind of have a plan of what's going to happen depending on what you do. And now you actually got to be in the moment and feel, is it going the right way? Is this working out as you planned? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling a little bit more confident, a little bit more calm? So this is the doing part. So yeah, it's great that you've worked out all your issues in the past and you have this great plan that should go, uninterrupted. But sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. But you just got to acknowledge your present moment and just listen to yourself and understand what you are feeling and why you are feeling that way.
I like how you said, listen to yourself. And sometimes we're not realizing that we could adjust our inner thoughts. And it's just sometimes take a listen, be in peace, be in quiet, and listen to your inner voice. What is your inner voice telling you? Are your emotions positive or negative? How am I, or let's just say there's a situation, how am I reacting to the situation? Sometimes we're not realizing that our inner voice, our ego, is telling us a bunch of negative emotions, negative thoughts. I want to go do this. You're not going to be good at that. You're going to suck at that. There's always this inner voice that's pushing you, nagging you down, saying, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. Someone else is better than you. And that creates this fear-mongering state, and you're never living up to your best because you're always limiting yourself. You know what I mean? It's always this dark state in your head. Your body could do it. You just can't because you haven't had this barrier, this hurdle. Just like people say, oh, how are you so positive? Well, it just didn't happen over a day. I literally analyzed my own conversations and I put positive thoughts into my head daily till I developed the habit of it. And I wake up feeling grateful, feeling ready to take on a day for most of the part.
Yeah, our body can do the work. It's more of the mental barriers that we got to get through. And a lot of times what I found to work is if you really fixate on one negative thought or negative emotion, try to reflect or deflect that negative thought or negative emotion with something positive. And every time the negative thing comes to mind, so let's just say, hey, I'm going to fall. Every time you think, hey, I'm going to fall, think of something else, the reason why you're happy, I don't know how to think about, oh, I'm going to have some candy or something. Mm-hmm. Well, candy is a bad coping thing. But just think of something positive. So instead of saying, every time you think about falling, think about something good from your past, something happy. Up. Yeah, switch that negative emotion for something positive. It's gonna help you out so much. Then eventually what's gonna happen is you're gonna stop thinking about the negative concept less and less and less, and finally you're gonna forget about it, and it's gonna come up once in a while.
Yeah.
But then when it does come back once in a while, you gotta be careful because it might reoccur over and over again. Especially if you haven't had a fall. If you haven't fallen in 6 months and then you fall on the 8th month, you're like, damn, I'm gonna fall again. You kind of gotta rewire your brain again.
Unfortunately, the caveat here is that negative emotions are so powerful, just like Facebook's algorithm favors it. Let's just say you had 10 great things that happened to you throughout the day, and then you go on Facebook or you go on one comment and one negative emotion pisses you off. All those 10 positive emotions just canceled out because of that one negative emotion. So you have to become aware of that too and learn how negativity shouldn't, take you off center as much.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? We are easily and more fixated on the negative than the positives.
We're drawn towards it.
Yeah. You're going to save 10 lives, but the 11th life that you couldn't have saved, that's when it's going to haunt you to the grave.
And it ruined your day.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Yeah,
but just how our mind is, and we kind of have to get out of that loop. Because when you were saying with the social media, it's a lot harder to get rid of these negative emotions because they keep feeding you. If someone wants you to respond, it's not going to make you happy. They're going to troll you, or they're going to say something to annoy you or make you angry.
Yeah,
even news.
And the last tip that we like to give is something called the mindful moment. So let's just say you're in a day full of stress. Learn how to take a mindful minute. So tips on controlling your emotions is just becoming present, take a pause, remove yourself from the stimulus if you have to, and just take some few deep breaths and hold it in, let it go, Feel your abdomen, expand, your lungs, your shoulders broaden, and just take a break. Take all that in and just feel alive, feel grounded, feel present, and understand that everything is okay. These are just emotions that are causing me instability, and I'm being grounded again.
Yeah, I really like that mindful moment thing, especially with the breathing. Especially at the gym or outside of the gym, if I'm like sore or some muscle is a little tighter than the other, I kind of just close my eyes and just deep breathe. But with that breathing, I kind of focus that breath on my tricep or my lower back or whatever's hurting, and sometimes it feels better. So breathing and the mind, it could definitely it won't hurt. Just try it out, and it's always good to relax. De-stress a little bit, take a break at work. Mandatory breaks in California are great.
Yeah, we're going to talk about next week about travel nursing, so stay tuned for that one, because we are enjoying our 8-hour shifts with 2 15-minute breaks, 30-minute lunches off the unit. Let's just say something's happening, shit's hitting the fan. Here you go, take care of this for me. I got to go get my food.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in this week. Subscribe. Whoever listened this far, toodles to you. Send us an email. We'll send you guys a free shirt.
Yep, the dog got found.
Dog got found. It's a great day. Hopefully everybody take this in. Have a positive day. Take a mindful minute if you have to. Rewind it back to kind of learn some techniques how to, don't let emotions get to you, because you're an awesome person. You're an awesome human.
Yep. Take control of your thoughts. Keep it smooth, Oakland.
Take it easy. Bye.